What's the best sports movie you've ever seen? Is it Bugs Bunny helping Michael Jordan get his groove back with Space Jam? Maybe it's Adam Sandler's crazy-ass humor in Happy Gilmore? You got a bunch of options, but what if I told you the right answer is Formula One? This bad boy just came out and it's already making people go crazy. On the surface, it's pretty simple. F1 looks sleek, it has the action to keep you hooked, but in a summer that's being dominated by superheroes, dinosaurs, and multiverses, F1 is the anomaly. The only movie that doesn't hide behind spectacle to get your attention, but instead it gives you a real human story that earns every moment of it. It's not just about seeing Brad Pitt go nuts on the track. We're talking about identity, legacy, and what it takes to rebuild something that's already burned down. So what exactly makes this the best sports movie ever made? Let's break it down right now. We're gonna start off with the basics, so it means we're gonna cover some spoilers in the first couple sections. If you haven't seen it, just jump to this timestamp in the video. F1 was directed by Joseph Kosinski, the same dude that made Top Gun Maverick, and he decided to build a fictional F1 team called Apex GP to show us how crazy this sport can get. The story centers around Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt, who's a journeyman driver close to retirement that's being pulled back into the spotlight to mentor a rising star, the one they call Joshua Pearce, played by Damson Idris. It's a classic setup. The team sucks, the sport is evolving, and Sonny, well, he's carrying the kind of baggage that doesn't just weigh down a driver, it completely sinks them. He suffered an accident when he first started driving in F1 back in the 90s, so he never really got his chance to live out his potential. It's the perfect boiling pot if you ask me, a beat-up old-timer looking for his shot at redemption, and the new kid on the block trying to earn his stripes on the grid. Usually, this is just what you need for a cookie-cutter adaptation of the sport. But that's not what Joseph had in mind, because the goal of this entire movie was to put us in the front seat of the cockpit. Check this out, the movie was co-produced by the one and only Lewis Hamilton, who made sure that the racing culture was portrayed as realistically as possible, not the glitzy Hollywood fantasy that we have in our heads. And in my opinion, this thing is the perfect gateway drug into the sport, because it's a character study wrapped in carbon fiber, a tale about mentorship and mortality. Sure, it's got a couple of over-the-top accidents sprinkled here and there, but it's showing you the most vulnerable moments that the drivers have as soon as they step on the paddock. If I had to sum up the setup of this flick, it's quite simple. This is the sports movie equivalent of looking at yourself in the mirror and asking, was it all worth it? But let's dive deeper into what makes the movie shine, its characters. At the center of it all is Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt like someone who's learned how to lose gracefully. He's not broken yet, but he's been cooked for a while, taking any race he can to feel the electricity that he once got from when he was behind the wheel as a kid. His arc isn't just about reclaiming old glory, it's about how to be useful in a world that's already moved on from you. Joshua Pearce is the exact opposite. He's played to perfection by the dude that in my opinion should be the frontrunner to take on the role of the Black Panther, which is Damson Idris. He's cocky, loud, the anti-rookie archetype, dealing with the pressure to keep his seat on the grid and gain the affirmation from the fans. That difference right there makes his arc with Sonny so badass. They're not exactly mirrors of each other, they're puzzle pieces, and they only make sense when they're paired together. The supporting cast is also insane, and they are a huge reason for why this movie hits the emotional beats so well. Carrie Condon's character is the principal engineer and the voice of reason. She grounds both Sonny and Joshua over the fact that she's trying to build the fastest car on the grid for both of them to start working together, even if they can't stand to be around each other. She is literally the bridge between their egos and victory. Obviously, she adds another dimension to the sport, because in reality, she'd be the first ever head engineer for an F1 team. With that said, they added her character really well, because instead of being sidelined, she's essential for the story. This is dope to finally show women on the paddock in roles where they shine and give value to the team at every corner. Because honestly, without her, the heroes don't have shit. The icing on the cake when it comes to the characters is Javier Bardem, who plays Ruben Cervantes, a successful former driver that used to be partners with Sonny back in the day, but now our boy is in a pickle. vehicle. He's going from an acclaimed driver to a corporate mastermind and the owner of a team, which is hard as hell, especially when this man manages to make every single bad decision in the book. The team hasn't scored a point in 2.5 years. There's a revolving door of drivers that don't even want to sign up to wear the suit. And unless he finds a driver that can push Joshua to win in the back half of the season, the team is going to be taken away from him. You can start to see the picture coming together. Everybody has a part to play on every aspect of the sport. Drivers, engineers, cocky team principals, and sweaty owners trying to get their investment back. The screenplay manages to build tension not from rivalries, but from a cast that is fully able to embody the emotional stakes of the sport. Every decision that they make has a direct consequence on the grid, and that sense of balance makes the adrenaline once you enter the car matter so much more. Okay, so we talked about the basics of the story and how the characters drive the narrative, pun clearly intended. But now we need to talk about how the production on this thing turned every kid's dream of driving a race car into reality. I'm gonna keep it a buck. What Kosinski and his team did here visually isn't just impressive, it's fucking unprecedented. Filming took place at the real Formula 1 weekends during the 2023 season at 14 different circuits. Silverstone, Monza, Spa, Abu Dhabi, all of them were featured without any sound stages, no recreated tracks. They integrated their fictional team into the real pit lanes, working around the most tightly choreographed event schedule in sports. That by itself would have been enough to just get the headlines, but this goes even deeper. Brad Pitt and Damson Idris were trained in a modified F2 cars capable of keeping pace with actual race conditions. The production built 2 Apex GP custom vehicles outfitted with like 6 to 7 different cameras, IMAX quality visuals designed to withstand the crazy ass heat that your butt feels in the cockpit, the G-forces, and the race speed vibrations. Not only that, Lewis Hamilton himself chatted for hours with both actors to make sure that they had the mannerisms, the nuances of the culture, and the lingo down pat so they could really immerse themselves as real F1 drivers. With all that said, it's Kosinski's visual language that truly sells you on the dream. It's dynamic, it's truthful. He worked closely with Claudio Miranda as his director of photography. He's the dude behind Life of Pi and Oblivion, so he did an amazing job here. What you get from that is that the camera is being used as both a witness and a participant. You're not just watching the race, you are fucking in it. You got gyroscope mounts creating shots that feel better than any ESPN broadcast throughout the season. And even with all of the access that Netflix can give us with the Drive to Survive docuseries that takes place every single year, this feels more true to the action. That's the magic behind the camera. Kosinski doesn't just rely on slow motion shots, CGI fests, or high-speed crash porn. He lets the real rhythm of the race speak for itself. Or at least during the formation laps. They couldn't actually race with the drivers because that would send the Ferrari team into cardiac arrest. But the result? You can see it. Mwah, it's perfection. Visually, this feels more real than the broadcast, more immersive than VR, and way more alive than anything the Fast and Furious franchise has done in the past decade. This wasn't just about realism, it was about honesty. You're not watching actors pretend to race. You are actually watching the race, and everything about it, from the sweat to the split-second decisions, sell you on that truth. Honestly, it would have been easy for F1 to lean on spectacle, to be a checklist of cringy rivalries and a couple of cool shots around the track with the podiums. But what it chose instead was depth. Let's be real, this isn't Interstellar or The Godfather. It doesn't have a perfect script and the perfect dialogue. Some of the more emotional moments can feel a little bit kumbaya and kind of the antithesis to what F1 really is, because in the end, these are 20 drivers fighting for a championship and millions of dollars. There's a lot of competition. It's not just fun, let's hold hands and win this thing. But it has a solid emotional core that hinges on you letting go. Because Sonny's story is a slow acceptance of irrelevance. He knows that he's washed up, but strangely, that sense of freedom helps him succeed on the track. Joshua is all about claiming his spot in a system that barely acknowledges his existence. Their relationship doesn't circle around hugs or speeches. It revolves around understanding each other with quiet, mutual, and earned earned respect. There's a scene that really spoke to me, and it has almost no dialogue whatsoever. Minor spoilers, yes, there are a couple of big crashes around the movie, and they sell you on how dangerous this sport can be, where fatalities aren't just a fantasy, they happen, and when they do, they're devastating. It's happened in F2, it's happened in Formula 1. Anyway, the scene itself is really quiet, where Joshua sits down and watches old footage of Sonny racing and crashing at his peak. He doesn't say much, but you feel the weight of his story, of what it means to follow someone who failed so that you don't have to. The end of Act 2 is marked by both of our heroes crashing and having to learn from their mistakes. We see the missteps in mentorship, a breakdown of trust between them, and that's exactly what sets F1 apart. It's not just drama on the track, it's drama because of the track. Okay, I get what you're saying, Ricky, this can't be that good. Well, let's talk about some numbers. F1 opened to $57 million in the US, more than double of what anybody expected from a non-sequel sports movie. Globally, it's racked close to 147 million maracas for opening weekend, outperforming Ford vs. Ferrari and even Rush, which were both critically loved racing movies. If you look at the Rotten Tomatoes, it's got the sauce, 83% critic score, and the audience's goes even higher to 97. It became the most reviewed sports film in over a decade in Letterboxd, and it had full-on Reddit threads where fans are dissecting each one of the race strategies. For the most part, people are saying the same thing. Yes, it's not perfect when it comes to the dialogue, and the characters are a little bit flawed, but this movie earned the respect from the fans, the drivers, and the critics as well. So what does F1 mean for the future? A lot. It doesn't just tell a solid story, it opens a door to a new era of sports cinema. Lewis Hamilton getting involved wasn't just symbolic, he helped shape the character dynamics, the insider cultural references, and giving us realism on the track. His voice matters, and in doing so, the film becomes more than art. It's a legacy builder. This is the first sports movie that truly collaborated with its sport. The FIA, Mercedes, the drivers, and all the other teams in F1 worked hand in hand with the production team to make this an ode to the sport. And that collaboration shows in every frame. Apple Studios now has proof of concept that a sports story, told honestly and visually, can dominate both in the theater and in the forums online. In my opinion, I think we're ready to expect more athletes producing their own narratives for the sports that they love. Hopefully, we'll be able to get non-IP original stories getting green-lit by studios everywhere. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Goal that basically puts you in the world of football in Real Madrid for a while. Well, this movie took exactly that same feeling and transferred it to the track without having to fake it. F1 proves that there's a market for sports stories that respect both the game and the people inside of it. So why is F1 the best sports movie of all time? Well, because it dared to do more. It's more honest, more grounded, more human. It's not actually about winning. It's about why the drivers keep showing up and why the fans keep cheering for them every single weekend. If there's a sequel, fantastic. But even if there isn't, this movie just changed everything that was possible. And that right there is exactly why F1 might be the best sports story ever brought to the cinema. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the flick, and if you want to see more in-depth breakdowns for the movies and anime you love, just check out these other videos that I got ready right here for you.